Clemson Hotline is on the air, a one-hour talk show giving Clemson fans a power hour of Tiger sports talk. Clemson Hotline is presented by y'all.com and brought to you by Amtrak and Cross Creek Timber and Cross Creek Realty LLC.com. Welcome into the program, everybody. Thank you for being here. The show, of course, broadcast on select stations across the state of South Carolina, but more importantly, for those of you who choose to join us live each and every Sunday night, 9 p.m., we thank you for being here live on Spreecast. And if you've been to ClemsonSportsTalk.com in the past few days, you may see some tweaks and some changes. We're trying to make it a little bit easier for you. If you go to the top, look about the middle, there's some tabs there. You can click on the button to watch the show live. Come on in and join us. We got a chat room that's ready and willing to entertain you if I can't carry the load. You know, that's the good thing about this chat room. If I'm having an off night, they're always on. I got to give them credit because when I go back through and see what they've said, it is unbelievable stuff. They keep me on my toes. The Clemson Tigers, though, go on the road and fall to NC State 66-62 Sunday night. We're going to talk about that plus a whole lot more and something you might not know about senior quarterbacks in America. We'll be back with more Clemson Hotline right here on the John C. Calhoun Radio Network.
At TurboTax, we know your paycheck is more than a number.
It's covering the register while answering phones.
It's skipping breaks.
And it's eating lunch standing up.
You work hard to earn your money, so we put the power to keep more of it in the palm of your hand. With TurboTax, you can take a photo of your W-2 with your smartphone, and we'll import your information automatically. Just answer a few simple questions, hit e-file, and you're done. TurboTax, the power to keep what's yours. Learn more at TurboTax.com. TurboTax mobile solutions work on select smartphones.
G-Dog General Dentistry at Oak Grove is located on Highway 1 near the Barnyard Flea Market. Modern, relaxing dentistry with TVs and headphones in every room, nitrous and even oral sedation. Digital diagnostic x-rays for better quality and 85% less radiation exposure. And check out their new Clemson Patient Special. Mention that you heard about G-Dog here on the Clemson Sports Talk programs and receive an extra 5% off all services through football season. If you don't have a regular dentist, go see my dentist, Dr. Rick Jackson at G-Dog. That's General Dentistry at Oak Grove.
If you depend on prescription opioid painkillers or heroin to get through each day, you may ask yourself, how did I get here? Withdrawal and rehab seem like scary and difficult roads, but there is a different way. I know because I was just like you and I found it at turntohelpnow.com. At turntohelpnow.com, I learned about different ways to get help, including those in a private setting without the need for daily visits. Find your courage and go to turntohelpnow.com today.
Are you a landowner who owns more than 10 acres that's interested in selling timber or pulpwood off your property? Cross Creek Timber is a full-service timber procurement company that buys standing saw timber and pulpwood. They're staffed with professional licensed foresters and fully insured with both workers' comp and general liability insurance. Let Cross Creek Timber develop the appropriate harvesting plan for your property and answer any questions regarding forest management. Call today, 864-517-3620. That's 864-517-3620 for your free woodland evaluation or visit www.crosscreektimber.com.
Ladies, are any of these symptoms familiar? Weight gain, hot flashes, rapid heartbeat, night sweats? How about fatigue, nausea, low energy? Or what about sleeplessness, low libido, and fat storage, especially around the belly area? If you're a woman over 40 experiencing any of these symptoms, you probably have hormonal imbalance. And until you balance your hormones, it'll be practically impossible to get rid of these problems. But you're in luck because Amberen is the all-natural formula clinically shown to cause sustained weight loss in women over 40 with no big change in lifestyle. Amberen restores hormonal imbalance in women over 40, so the extra pounds fall away and the other symptoms simply disappear. To receive a complimentary risk-free trial with a free 30-day supply, just be one of the first 50 callers right now at 1-800-510-3558. Free supplies are limited, so be one of the first callers right now at 1-800-510-3558. That's 1-800-510-3558.
Hate the thought of shopping?
All that hassle and can't find what you're looking for anyway? We understand. Retail stores make it difficult. Instead, try www.edistooutdoors.com. Edisto Outdoors features performance apparel and gear engineered for performance, comfort, and style. EdistoOutdoors.com. You'll enjoy the shopping and you'll enjoy the products. Great products from people who care.
On Saturday morning, I don't sleep late. I eat an early breakfast and I head out for the gate. I gotta get there early to watch the Tigers play. The dogs are in town, we'll blow them away. I've got my orange t-shirt, got my orange hat, even orange underwear. What you think of that? I'm an orange fan.
Welcome into the program. Thank you for being here with us, and I'm looking forward to spending about an hour with you talking about our favorite team. That's right, the Clemson Tigers. Well, they go on the road to Raleigh. This Clemson team 2-2 in conference play as they head up into enemy territory. Number 14 in America, NC State, comes out like gangbusters, to be honest with you, and Clemson starts with their patented slow start, but managed to climb back in it, a 66-62 loss. We'll dissect that momentarily. But, you know, when you get further into the NFL playoffs, and we don't talk a whole lot about the NFL here, but when you get further into the NFL playoffs, you start to run into some conflicts between the NFL and, of course, college sports. And everybody that listens to the program is going to watch or tune in or go to see the Clemson Tigers play any opportunity that they get. But when you've got back-to-back championship games, NFC followed up by the AFC championship games, and in the middle of that, and really more so at the front end of this AFC championship game that was going on Sunday, you had the Clemson basketball game. And you know, I'm a sports Nazi, whatever you want to call it. I mean, I am there all the time. I am just all in all the time. The only sport I really don't get into, and you guys probably know this if you listen enough, is I really do not get into college baseball and professional baseball. I follow it, but I'm not into it as much as maybe some people would expect me to be. But anyhow, trying to watch the Clemson Tiger basketball game without seeing what was going on in the pro football game is difficult. I mean, I'm a snob when it comes to quality TV. It's got to be crisp. It's got to be high definition. If I go to your house and your settings are wrong, we're going to have a problem. If I come to your house and I can't see the bottom piece of the screen where the ticker is, we're going to have a problem. But not in the scenario that was presented to us Sunday. Not in that scenario. What did I do? I went to Theater Mode 3. I put it out on Twitter. It should be on ClemsonSportsTalk.com right now over in the Twitter section, a picture of how I was checking out the game without seeing what was going on. Had to change the setting, a little bit of a zoom. That was the only way to pull that off. If you didn't do that, you might see what was going on in the game, and you can't watch the game with your hand or a pillow covering up the bottom half of the screen. It just doesn't work. You know, you look silly trying to pull that off. It's a feature that I really think, and this is odd that we're talking about ESPN here, but it really is a feature that I think ESPN should consider putting out there for people, and that's the option of not seeing the bottom portion of the screen during specific events. And then, so I'm watching it, and all of a sudden, at the very end of the game, after Clemson comes up a little bit short, the young lady who's covering the game starts interviewing Coach Godfrey of NC State. And little did I know that he's apparently a cousin of the Harbaugh brothers. And she says to him, well, it looks like it's going to be an all Harbaugh Super Bowl. What? Lady, there are people like me who have dedicated 2 hours to keep up with Clemson without knowing what was going on in the football game because I knew I could fast forward and catch up and see most of it before kicking off the best Clemson sports talk show in the history of the interwebs. And you go and pull a spoiler on me? And then, to top it all off, after all of that, I come to realize that this lady,
I don't even know what you're talking about.
Doesn't even know what she's talking about. I'm watching the game. I'm expecting Ravens interception returns for touchdowns over and over, and we're headed towards halftime. And I'm realizing that the NC State-Clemson game would have ended by now. And she still is way off because at that point in the game, New England was leading. Look, DVRs are great. And I think we're finally starting to realize, and maybe some of the networks are starting to realize how important and valuable they are. For crying out loud, DirecTV's put out a genie, record 5 things at once, as if you had time to watch those 5 things. It's like the people who claim, I've seen every video on YouTube. They're putting up more videos per second than you can watch. You'd be watching the rest of your life. But we work hard all week long to get this opportunity to watch sports, and you do everything, whether it's adjust the set, tell your wife don't look at Facebook, whatever it takes, and then the lady says that it looks like it's going to be an all Harbaugh Super Bowl. Oh my, I'm doing everything I can, woman, to watch this Clemson NC State basketball game without knowing what happens. I make it the whole way through, and then she almost tips me off at the last second. Soapbox, stepping off. Clemson Tom wants to know what's YouTube. Check him out on YouTube, youtube.com/Mr. Clemson Tom. Now, if Clemson Tom, his wife is having a child. And I believe, as I recall, is having a son. Is Clemson Tom planning on giving his son's first name? Is that name going to be Mr.? You see that nowadays. Would he be Mr. Clemson Tom's son? I think that would be a fitting name. I mean, I see football players out there all the time, Mr. Alexander. And would his last name be Tom? Would his name be Mr. Tom? We got to find out. Does anybody really know Clemson Tom's last name? Nobody knew who Batman was. Nobody knew who Batman was. But, Tom doesn't run around with a cape on and a mask. He's just out there. He'll rip you apart. He'll tell Carolina fans what he thinks about them. He'll retweet everything horrendous that they tweet to him. But he doesn't need a cape. He doesn't need a mask, people. There is no kryptonite for Clemson Tom. His belt, the Clemson Tiger belt, Tom says, is what he uses. That's what keeps him going, people. So Clemson Tom's here with us. We've got Vicky, Corey, Chris, Craig. Did I miss anybody? I hope I didn't. That's in here with us right now. But we'll be back. We got to go to a quick break. Stay with us.
South Carolina, low country.
They're playing basketball. We love that basketball. They're playing basketball. We love that basketball. They're playing basketball.
That's old school right there. Basketball. Welcome in to the Clemson Hotline. I'm your host, Lawton Swan. Glad to be here with you. Don't forget, Wednesday night, 9 o'clock, we've got Tiger Net Talk, as always, here. And if you go to ClemsonSportsTalk.com, you'll notice that we've refreshed things a little bit. We've tried to make it a little bit easier for you. We will no longer be putting things on the front page when we're doing the show live. There's actually a button you can click that says live show. The archives are in there as well. Everything, how to listen, how you can participate with us, advertising information for those people who want to come on board with us. We've been adding a couple of advertisers. You'll hear those new ads coming up in no time. It's going to be just a little bit of paperwork we got to get taken care of, but we're going to start running some new ads. And I do want to thank Cross Creek Timber and Cross Creek Realty for coming on board as our title sponsor for Tiger Net Talk, and we're going to keep talking about them here on the Clemson Hotline as well. You can visit them at www.crosscreek.com. crosscreektimber.com and also at crosscreekrealtyllc.com. Let us know what you think about the website. If you like it, I know, I believe it was Corey who called me the other night. I was doing some editing, trying to see how I wanted to run things. I've really tried to integrate it where the Spreecast window fits good and you can actually see how to get in and chat. Some people said, I can't figure out how to get in and chat. Well, it was because of the way we had it laid out. But we've moved it. I hope you like it. Let us know. We love hearing from all our loyal listeners. Well, look, here's the deal with Clemson Tiger basketball. And I know Corey's got a question for me in the chat room. We're going to talk about that momentarily, Corey. But first off, you go on the road to NC State, a resurgent NC State team, a team that has really, I think if you look at Clemson Tiger basketball over the last 10 years, probably the one team out of the state of North Carolina that Clemson fans didn't exactly fear every time they went in there to face them. For whatever reason, you know, Duke and North Carolina, just because they're some of the top teams in the country, but they constantly, I think part of it is for Clemson when they go and play in Durham or when they go and play in Chapel Hill, they get that angst. They feel the weight of the series, and even though they weren't part of what's happened and the fact that there have only been 4 wins in Duke, no wins in Chapel Hill, they feel like, this team feels like it's on their backs and trying to get that monkey off their back. It's such a difficult thing for them. I think the pressure of the moment begins to weigh on them. I mean, you saw Clemson up big against North Carolina not that long ago in the final few minutes, only to fall apart at the end of the game in a loss. Wake Forest, they're down right now, a team that Clemson can go and beat, but in the past, going to Winston-Salem has not been good for Clemson. And going to Raleigh hasn't been great, but in recent years, it wasn't a scary road trip. But this NC State team was different. They are a multi-talented team. They can beat you on the inside with a guy like Richard Howell. Scott Wood is a forward who can shoot the ball unbelievably well, knock down some big threes against Clemson in this ball game. But it was ACC Player of the Year. C.J. Leslie's the kid who I think really a lot of people fear each and every time you're getting together against NC State. He had an off night. You saw some talent from him that many people expect, the things he can do. But it was T.J. Warren off the bench, a freshman off the bench for the Wolfpack with 21 points who led the way for them. But let's talk about Clemson for a minute and what the Tigers are going to have to do to be better throughout this season. First off, you can't come out with these slow starts. I mean, when you only score 2 points before you get to the first break, it's awful. It's just so difficult for you to ever scrap and fight back to get in the game. You're down 10 quick, and you're trying to fight the rest of the game. Clemson did cut it to 3, though, with 13 minutes and some change left in the second half. They end up trimming it to 2 with about 8.5 minutes left in the game off a great alley-oop from Rod Hall to Devin Booker. He played like Trevor Booker tonight. I'll tell you what, 27 points for Devin Booker in this ball game against NC State. The best game I've seen him play in a long, long time. He's continued to improve, but this was clearly maybe the best game I've ever seen him play in a Clemson Tiger uniform. Give all the credit in the world to him because of the way he came out. You got his hard work in the post. He gets low. He has great footwork and timing. His position is excellent. He doesn't force the ball. He seals for position. That's the other thing. There's so many times, playing the point guard position, which I did back in the day and still do from time to time. You try to feed the ball in the post, and somebody just doesn't seal or fend off the defender well enough to make the catch and do what they need to do in the post. Not Booker. He's one of the best right now in the Atlantic Coast Conference at that, and it's a reason he's a significant threat and one of the people who the announcers are continuing to focus on and really give him the respect that he deserves, because this year, unlike years in the past, I see him running the floor hard. That alley-oop was a product of Rod Hall's excellent pass and Devin Booker's ability to run the floor. I mean, that's the thing that I like right now that we're seeing. And he doesn't appear frustrated. At the end of the game, Milton Jennings, again, the only other senior on this team, puts his head down on Devin Booker's shoulder and says something to the effect of, we were close, or something in that regard. And you could see Booker basically saying, it's all right, we're going to get there. I think he can see that the future of this program is going to be good. And maybe it's not going to be when he's on the ball club, but I think you see some things that this team does right now that make you confident for the future. Now, the question Corey asked is, what will Clemson need to do next year to improve the basketball team? Well, first of all, getting Devin Coleman back is going to be big for Clemson. First, he's an offhanded guy. plays with his left hand. That's always a little bit of a difficult matchup. He is slippery to the hole. He can get there and finish. The other thing I like about him, he's got a nice smooth stroke, and he's a confident ball player. I think he's the missing piece right now this year to making this team more effective. I mean, you look at the job that DeMarcus Harrison is doing, and it's not that great. And that's a spot that Coleman would be playing in right now, and I think Coleman would be putting up significant numbers, maybe 10 to 12 points a game, maybe more. He might be leading the team right now in scoring if he were out there. I mean, that's the kind of player he can be. When Rod Hall is giving you 16 points, and Rod Hall's a guy who I've often criticized here on the program for, one, his lack of shooting. He is starting to shoot it more, though, and sometimes feeling like when we were out there, we were really playing with only 3 guys who could score because Rod Hall just refused to shoot, it seemed like. He has some trouble in the turnovers department, but in this game it was Rod Hall who got to the hole, and I could see why Coach Brownell is trusting him. But what Clemson's got to be able to do to get better next season is have somebody who can really extend defenses. Jordan Roper was playing really well early on in this game. I felt like he was kind of still feeling the rhythm from the Virginia game, and I thought for a second that he was going to get up some more shots, but then he was noticeably absent from the second half. I don't know if he did something wrong that Coach Brownell thought about, pulling him from the game. I don't know where the concern was, but for me, I saw him come out. He pulled a shot. It looked like it was a nice little jumper in rhythm. I like the way Filer had been playing in the first half, but those 2 freshmen didn't really play in the second half, and I think Corey makes a good point in the chat room that Devin Booker, good gracious. You know what? I'm probably going to call him Trevor Booker the rest of his life if he's not careful. But Devin Booker, he may have worn down a little bit because of the heavy load. I mean, putting up 18 shots. He was 13 of 18 from the field. Slam dunks, playing spectacular defense, I thought, for most of the game. I mean, there are a lot of things that this team can clearly do to get better. But there's one thing I noticed about this team that I think makes you realize just how good they can be. I think there's something to this ball club that's special, and it's going to take getting the right pieces in there to really exploit it. But we'll tell you what that is when we come back. Stay with us.
It's rolling around a bend, and I ain't seen the sunshine since I don't know when. I'm stuck in Folsom Prison, and time keeps dragging on. But that train keeps a-rolling on down to San Antone.
This is a referral service. Calls will be routed to an independent referral insurance agency.
Do you know the #1 cause of bankruptcy? No, it's not losing your job or running up credit card debt. It's not even divorce. It's medical costs. If you and your family don't have health insurance, just one serious illness or accident could be financially devastating. But now there's good news, really good news. A health insurance hotline has been established to provide health insurance for all Americans, even uninsured Americans with pre-existing conditions. Now anyone can get health insurance even if you have a pre-existing medical condition. I repeat, now anyone can get health insurance coverage. Call now for a free no-obligation quote on affordable health plans available to you. Again, this is a free hotline for anyone, even if you have pre-existing conditions. Protect you and your family from sudden unexpected medical costs. Call the free health insurance hotline right now at 1-800-838-5562. That's 1-800-838-5562. Call 1-800-838-5562.
Are you a landowner who owns more than 10 acres that's interested in selling timber or pulpwood off your property? Cross Creek Timber is a full-service timber procurement company that buys standing saw timber and pulpwood. They're staffed with professional licensed foresters and fully insured with both workers' comp and general liability insurance. Let Cross Creek Timber develop the appropriate harvesting plan for your property and answer any questions regarding forest management. Call today, 864-517-3620. That's 864-517-3620 for your free woodland evaluation, or visit www.crosscreektimber.com.
Hey, sports fans, listen up. If you're a fan of the Gamecocks, the Citadel Bulldogs, or you just simply get chills from the Tigers running down the hill, then CRM Sports has a weekly show just for you. Even if Cocky and the Tiger make your blood boil, then just tune in for a good laugh. Each week, Gamecock fans hear the CRM Sports Show Carolina Crowline broadcasting live from downtown Columbia. And Clemson fans enjoy the Clemson Hotline broadcasting live just miles away from their beloved Death Valley. It's fun, independent, objective, and informative talk about your favorite college team. To listen to the various CRM Sports Collegiate Sports Talk podcasts, visit iTunes and search for CRM Sports, and the action-packed shows will be just a free click away. CRM Sports, check them out on iTunes and get all the inside info on your favorite Southern team. CRM Sports, we know Southern sports.
Stop pain now. Pain keeps you from enjoying life, or worse, keeps you up at night. Stop pain now with Real-Time Pain Relief, the great-smelling topical pain relief cream you can try absolutely free. That's right. Go to painfreeoffer.com and get a free sample with free shipping right now. No credit card needed at painfreeoffer.com. We're so sure it'll work, even if everything else you've tried hasn't. You get a free sample with free shipping, absolutely no cost to you at painfreeoffer.com. painfreeoffer.com.
And my name is Ray Harland. I've been using Real-Time Pain Relief now for about 9 months. Real-Time Pain Relief has been a godsend because this is the only topical that actually touches my pain and reduces it.
This is a truly no-risk offer that can stop your pain. Go to painfreeoffer.com and get a free sample of Real-Time Pain Relief Cream with free shipping. You won't be asked for a credit card. Go to painfreeoffer.com now. Click today and be pain-free. painfreeoffer.com.
G-Dog General Dentistry at Oak Grove is located on Highway 1 near the Barnyard Flea Market. Modern, relaxing dentistry with TVs and headphones in every room, nitrous and even oral sedation. Digital diagnostic x-rays for better quality and 85% less radiation exposure. And check out their new Clemson Patient Special. Mention that you heard about G-Dog here on the Clemson Sports Talk programs and receive an extra 5% off all services through football season. If you don't have a regular dentist, go see my dentist, Dr. Rick Jackson at G-Dog. That's General Dentistry at Oak Grove.
Hate the thought of shopping? All that hassle and can't find what you're looking for anyway? We understand. Retail stores make it difficult. Instead, try www.edistooutdoors.com. Edisto Outdoors features performance apparel and gear engineered for performance, comfort, and style. EdistoOutdoors.com. You'll enjoy the shopping and you'll enjoy the products. Great products from people who care.
Hit the road, Jack. Don't you come back no more, no more, no more, no more. Hit the road, Jack. And don't you come back no more. What you say?
Welcome back into the Clemson Hotline. Great movie if you hadn't seen it, Ray. I suggest you check it out. Fantastic stuff. Now, as we went out to the last break, and I've done a poor job this evening of telling you how to participate with us, but if you watch this show live, you can see it right below. We're at Clemson Sports on Twitter, or hashtag TN Talk. Comes to us live right here in the program. You can email us clemson81@gmail.com. That's 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Or give us a call, 803-450-0086. And all that information is on clemsonsportstalk.com in the how to listen portion of the website. And that shows you exactly how you can tune in. Now, the other thing that we were talking about as we went to break was what makes me feel comfortable? How do I know this team is going to get better? I think clearly the coaching, all signs and indicators point to coaching. What do you see from this coaching staff? Excellent defense. Why do you think guys like Brad Stevens at Butler have been successful? They play great defense. I know they have some shooters. Clemson can get some shooters in. It may take some time for Brownell to find the right guy that can really light them up. But once we do, the defense is there. The other thing, you saw that game between Butler and Gonzaga, Gonzaga, the first mid-major to make a statement in the NCAA tournament, and then Butler making back-to-back runs to the national championship, which is unbelievable. But Todd Few and Brad Stevens, what they do well are the same things that I see Coach Brad Brownell doing well. Appropriate use of timeouts. Clemson does a great job with that. Brownell doesn't let the game get away from his team that often. I can't say the same for Larry Shyatt. I can't say the same for Oliver Purnell. But I can say Coach Brad Brownell doesn't typically let the game get away from the team before calling a timeout. That's something that I'll tell you Rick Barnes did a pretty good job of. If you think back, I can remember a couple games during the Rick Barnes era where Clemson would literally burn up most of their timeouts in the first few minutes of a game against a great team because he didn't want it to get out of reach. He wasn't concerned about the timeout situation as he was the scoreboard situation. And I think that's important. That's a very important thing for us to note as we look at Coach Brad Brownell. The other thing, and you've seen it in the past 2 ball games, it's continuing to get better, inbound plays. Getting the ball inbounds. Those can be almost free points. Those can be opportunities to change the momentum of a game. And whether it's coming out of a timeout or in a situation where the shot clock is down, I give a ton of credit to Brad Brownell. I just think he's a fantastic teacher of the game. The way things are set up with the back screens, setting up defenders, it's fantastic. It's fun to watch. And while Clemson has a lack of three-point shooters and really a lack of shooters from outside of 15 feet, the future does look good, I think, because Brad Brownell, if he brings in the right pieces, and I don't think they have to be great. It's not like Gonzaga and Butler are recruiting 4- and 5-star guys. I think you can be very successful, even though their competition level may be down. If you can be just good enough in the Atlantic Coast Conference to get into the NCAA tournament, and you play great defense, and you have a couple of good shooters, and you can get points off of inbounds plays, you can be successful. And that seems to be what I'm seeing. I'm feeling better about this team after losing on the road at NC State than I possibly have in any time this season. And that's without the fact that Milton Jennings has a very poor game early. He didn't play great late. I mean, Milton Jennings, maybe it's playing on the road that really hurts him the most. I could almost say Milton Jennings might need one of those like height requirement things outside of his dorm room because, like you see at a roller coaster, because that's what I feel like I'm on with him, like a roller coaster. It's up, it's down, mostly down, but when he's on, he's on. He's a 6'9" kid who can shoot the ball like very few 6'9" kids, 6'8", 6'9" kids can in America. When he's off, it is terrible. It's terrible. So I can't quite figure him out. But even with Milton Jennings not having a great game, some poor defensive situations, I mean, he had a foul in that game, a reach-in, when Clemson had pulled the game tied. With about 3.5 minutes left, he had a reach-in foul that was just awful. Brad Brownell looks at him like, what are you doing? Puts him in that was the 10th team foul, I believe, put NC State, in the double-double. And I'm like, come on, Milton, that's just a terrible play. But you're getting these young guys with plenty of experience. You're seeing, I think, what Booker's able to do rub off on these guys. I think they're starting to buy into what he's doing. And that's keeping everybody energized and excited. And it really doesn't matter what's going on with Milton. I think some of the guys have turned their page on Milton. And I don't think the team has given up on him. He goes 3 from 11 from the floor, 9 points, 8 rebounds. He's playing better. He's just not a quality basketball player. He's not ACC caliber. And maybe Clemson's roster's not loaded up with those guys. But you got to give hustle. You got to give effort. You can't have the ball hit you in the hands and not be able to get your hands on it and secure it. I think that's important. Milton Jennings is a tad bit slow. Just, I don't know if it's because he's so tall. Maybe he lacks the dexterity to you've seen this with kids who get big and uncoordinated, and he's not a big oafy kind of player, but he doesn't, the ball can almost hit him in the head, and he can't get his head out of the way. But I do think the future looks good with this Clemson Tiger basketball team. And I know what else looks really good. The future of this show. Let me tell you what we are working on lining up for you. 1, trying to land Dabo Swinney just around National Signing Day, at or before National Signing Day. Look for that. The problem we're going to have is February 3rd, the Sunday before National Signing Day, which, of course, is that Wednesday, which we'll do a show, a post-National Signing Day TigerNet Talk for you. And maybe that'll be when we'll be able to get Dabo Swinney on, but I'm sure he'll be busy celebrating after the fact. But that February 3rd Super Bowl Sunday is going to be a little bit different. I guess we can call it the Brother Bowl or whatever you want to call it, the Harbaugh Bowl. We're going to maybe move that show. I haven't decided or determined how I'm going to do it. Obviously, we're not going to do it during the Super Bowl. I know nobody will be here. We're working on James Davis. Tom Luganbill has said he's going to come on. That's their recruiting coordinator for ESPN. We'll have him here for you. Allie Rogers, Miss SC, our best-looking guest ever, and nobody in the chat room would deny that fact, and I don't think any of our other guests would deny it. We're working with Dwayne Allen and also C.J. Spiller, so hopefully those guys during the offseason will be able to join us, plus some of the recruiting stuff coming up, and more importantly, Dabo Swinney to talk about the recruiting class. So we really are trying to piece some things together here in the offseason. It's always tough. You know, during football season, we can talk about the football games ad nauseum. Basketball season, when things aren't going so great, the topics can get a little tough. Baseball season into the summer can even be a little bit more difficult as we really try to focus strictly on your Clemson Tigers here. But when we come back, we got to get out to a break here in about a minute and a half. But when we come back, I'm going to tell you something that's going to surprise you, something you probably didn't realize. And it's funny because when you think about Joe Flacco quarterbacking the Ravens to the Super Bowl, and Colin Kaepernick being the quarterback for the 49ers, two guys who were virtually unheard of before they got to the NFL, we're going to give you a little statistic that might surprise you a little bit about senior quarterbacks. And I know you're excited about having Taj Boyd back for his senior year. I know we all are. But there's a little telling statistic out there that might surprise you. I did a little digging. And when you find out what that is, maybe your excitement about having one of the best, if not the best, Clemson quarterback in history back. And I know we'll have some people argue that point with us. There'll be the Rodney Williams fans, the Steve Fuller fans, the Woodrow Dantzler fans. I'm just saying maybe he's the best. Statistically, oh yeah. Statistically, he is. But I'll tell you that stat after this break. Stay with us.
On the banks of those late fall, late cartwheel sunsets, I wanted to be just like Jeff Davis when I grew up, tackling Seminoles and Bulldogs, playing football in the mud. So everybody sing Tiger Rag at the top of your lungs, and we'll party like it's 1981. In a corner like a candy ball and chain. It wasn't nothing she ever thought about. Didn't know it was gone the day she moved.
The Clemson Hotline rolling along. I'm your host, Lawton Swan. Thank you for being here with us. Looking forward to spending about another 15 minutes or so with you, talking about your team, my team, the Clemson Tigers. The Tigers right now, I guess Missouri, listen, we took care of Auburn in football. We took care of LSU in football. Missouri, can we get you on the schedule? Speaking of schedules, the Atlantic Coast Conference drives me batty with how long it takes them to put out these schedules. My nephew's going to grad school at Georgia. The entire schedule's out. Clemson, you're lucky to get the schedule the weekend before the game, and you can almost guarantee that there are going to be a ton of noon kickoffs. Am I right? I mean, does the Atlantic Coast Conference not possess some sort of program that you can just put the information in and have it spit out the data to give you I mean, what is it, like 12 guys in a back room with the lights dim? Oh, sorry, we can't have Clemson play at Winston-Salem. We've got to move that to a home game for the Tigers. Listen, if there's one thing outside of the BCS I would like to see improved in college football, it's the scheduling in the Atlantic Coast Conference. Craig says the ACC can't play at night, and it looks like the chat room is clamoring for an on-screen interview with Allie Rogers. If you can get Clemson Tom on screen, for sure you can get Allie Rogers, Swanee. That's what they're saying. You try to bring us the heat with Clemson Tom, but you can't deliver Allie. Something's wrong about that. Okay, so here is where we left you. A telling stat that will surprise you about national championship winning quarterbacks. And I tried to do my due diligence on this exactly. It's a little bit difficult to pick it all up. You can't go in there and punch in some search. At least I couldn't. I'm pretty good with the Google. But I could not find this, so I had to dig through all the games. But going back to 2000, 12 years, how many, 13 years now I guess, how many quarterbacks do you think led their team to a national championship in their senior year? You know, we get Taj Boyd back. Taj is coming back. We know we lose Nuke. What does that mean? Does that mean that because we have our quarterback who has been through the system, that we're going to get there to the national championship? Just like Tim Tebow. No? Tebow did? No. Tebow didn't. Senior year. Didn't make it to the national championship. Just like Greg McElroy. What? Surely. You got to be kidding me, Swanee. Just like Matt Leinart. No. Got beat senior. How about Ken Dorsey, that Miami team? They were like the best. That was like the best team ever. No. Got beat by Ohio State. Senior quarterbacks, for whatever reason, partially because some of them turned pro early. Vince Young, maybe if he had come back for his senior year, maybe he wins a national championship at Texas. Those guys didn't win national championships after they came back for their senior year. A.J. McCarron, coming back to Alabama. I think you could argue he might make it into this list. Josh Heupel at Oklahoma, Chris Leak at Florida, and Matt Flynn at LSU. Those are the three guys who came back for their senior years or who were seniors that led their team to the national championship, to a victory. So we pound our chest. Yes, Taj Boyd is back. National championship game, here we come. But it doesn't happen that frequently. There are a lot of senior quarterbacks who get to the game, but they don't win it. And I think when you look at the NFL and you see guys like Colin Kaepernick leading teams to the Super Bowl, you realize that even though he may have been a very good quarterback in college, not a great quarterback, the two games are completely different. And you could argue that he's changed the game at the NFL level right now, unlike we've seen a quarterback really play with that read option. I think it's something that we're very familiar with as Clemson fans from what we've seen from time to time from this offense. He runs the football so great at the NFL level. 181 yards rushing the previous weekend, and 178 of those without getting touched. Ridiculous. So because you get your senior quarterback back on the team, doesn't always equate to championship games. Doesn't always equate to victories or a return to the national championship. Many times the guy came back to go get another one, and it didn't happen. But from what I was able to calculate, only 3. And that was a big surprise for me, because I thought for sure that it would just be a telling statistic that the senior-led teams made it to national championships. Maybe that's because some of the younger guys get there and, like I said, leave early. But I think we beat our chest a little bit when you got that big piece back in Taj Boyd, And you obviously feel good about it, but it doesn't equate to one win. And I think the other thing we need to realize is this, too, and we say it here a lot. When Clemson gets upset or beat and you're frustrated about a loss, you're never as bad as you think you are when you lose, and you're never as good as you think you are when you win. And Clemson's got a real chance, though, this season. We know they're going to start high in the polls. Taj Boyd Sr., but it doesn't equate to victories. You got to go out there and do it each and every week on the field. The one thing that could help, in an odd way, with Nuke Hopkins leaving, is that I think it puts a little bit of an angst on this offense. Losing Andre Ellington puts a little bit of stress on this offense in the offseason. Losing Brandon Ford puts a little bit of stress on this offense. You never want to rest on your laurels, and I'm not saying that Clemson would. I don't think that Chad Morris is the type coach who would stand for that. But I think it's a fear that you have to have when you've been successful for a few seasons. And that South Carolina game is always going to loom on the schedule now, maybe much like for some people going to North Carolina or going to Duke, because it's becoming a game where Clemson may play a little tight because they feel the need to win that game. But that would be a driving factor. That should be a driving factor. But missing these pieces, these key parts, it's not easy to just plug in. It's not easy to just grab the next great player off the shelf. Because even if you think they're fantastic, 6, 8 times out of 10, that guy may not work out. And it's a reason that on National Signing Day you can say, yeah, how about that recruiting class? That's what we do. We bring in top players. And then you go back and you look through a recruiting class from 5, 10 years ago and you go, who was that 4-star defensive tackle? Who? I don't even remember him playing. So you got to be cautious of getting too excited about National Recruiting Day or National Signing Day. February the 6th, though. Again, like I said, we're going to try to have Dabo Swinney on, but getting your senior quarterback means a lot, but it doesn't always mean winning the national championship. We'll be right back.
Rock TDs on a Friday night.
Blake Austin of South Carolina Farm Bureau is an insurance agent you can count on to meet all your needs. Home, auto, health, life, you name it, Blake's got you covered, and he can save you on your yearly rates. Call him now for a free quote, 803-259-5008. That's 803-259-5008. Or just go to ClemsonSportsTalk.com and click on the Farm Bureau logo to be connected to Blake. Do like I do and work with the best agent around, and you can tweet that.
At TurboTax, we know your paycheck is more than a number.
It's brown bag lunches every day.
It's picking up extra shifts.
And it's catching the bus to work.
You work hard to earn your money, and we want to help you stretch every dollar. That's why TurboTax lets you file your simple federal return for free. It's free to prepare, print, e-file, and you can even chat with a tax expert. TurboTax, the power to keep what's yours. Get the federal free edition at TurboTax.com. Live tax help service is subject to availability, restrictions, and change without notice. See TurboTax.com for details.
Take your business to the next level with innovative website design from Foodog Media. Foodog can handle all your web, graphic, and social media needs. Call them today, 843-864-9268. That's 843-864-9268. Mention this ad and receive 10% off of your website. Foodog is a Clemson-owned business. See their portfolio at www.foodogmedia.net. May the food be with you.
If you depend on prescription opioid painkillers or heroin to get through each day, you may ask yourself, how did I get here? Withdrawal and rehab seem like scary and difficult roads, but there is a different way. I know because I was just like you and I found it at turntohelpnow.com. At turntohelpnow.com, I learned about different ways to get help, including those in a private setting without the need for daily visits. Find your courage and go to turntohelpnow.com today.
Ladies, are any of these symptoms familiar? Weight gain, hot flashes, rapid heartbeat, night sweats? How How about fatigue, nausea, low energy? Or what about sleeplessness, low libido, and fat storage, especially around the belly area? If you're a woman over 40 experiencing any of these symptoms, you probably have hormonal imbalance. And until you balance your hormones, it'll be practically impossible to get rid of these problems. But you're in luck because Amberen is the all-natural formula clinically shown to cause sustained weight loss in women over 40 with no big change in lifestyle. Amberen restores hormonal imbalance in women over 40, so the extra pounds fall away and the other symptoms simply disappear. To receive a complimentary risk-free trial with a free 30-day supply, just be one of the first 50 callers right now at 1-800-510-3558. Free supplies are limited, so be one of the first callers right now at 1-800-510-3558. That's 1-800-510-3558.
Just a few minutes remaining here in the program. Thank you for being with us here on the Clemson Hotline. And don't forget, you can email us, tweet to us, call us, whatever you need to, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. We'd love to talk with you Tiger fans out there. By the way, go by ClemsonSportsTalk.com, check out the new layout, and you can find out all the information on how to participate with us, because we do want to hear from you. Well, a big pickup for Clemson in the recruiting class this year as Corinne Priester commits wide receiver out of Snellville, Georgia. 6'2", 190 pounds, committed to the Tigers over the weekend. It was a big weekend because of that commitment, plus having some other talented players on campus like James Clark, another wide receiver, a four-star guy. This Clemson wide receiver class, if you've had a chance to go out and look at some of the videos on these guys and what they potentially bring to the table, I know you thought that things may be at a loss when you lose North. Maybe when you lose Demarcus Robinson, it's a loss. But you know what? These guys have a chance to come in. I think they fit what the Clemson Tigers are trying to do. These guys are, neither one of them are a huge guy. They'll play that slot position, but a position that's very valuable and could be used significantly and maybe more so than it was in recent years, because I think these guys are clearly very good ball players that can come in. And how about Asante Woolard, the four-star quarterback there that Clemson was able to get to come in, not really having a feel for where he is right now, but I think he really likes Clemson. I know Clemson got in on him late with the transfer of Morgan Roberts, but because of that fact, you've got a little bit of some people out there who are a little bit concerned about the number of quarterbacks coming into the system, but you've always got to have backups, and I don't think that it's going to affect anybody else's recruitment like Deshaun Watson. I don't think that's going to be a big deal. Look, these guys know they're going to have to compete when you're coming to Clemson, when you're playing for a coach like Dabo Swinney and Chad Morris. There's going to be competition at the quarterback position. The only way I think you see a guy like Watson not coming would be is if Chad Morris were to leave, but right now there's no indication that that's going to be the case. Morris seems to be telling Watson, according to multiple outlets, that if Watson commits to Clemson and comes to Clemson, he is going to stay throughout his career. Now, there are no guarantees out there. The Oregon job came open. I don't think that's a threat at all anywhere down the road even. But as a person who supports Clemson, it's always kind of a scary area to deal with when you've got a coach telling a recruit, hey, you know what, come here, come with me, and the recruit saying, well, coach, but if you leave, I think I'm going to go with you. That's something to follow, I think, as we move forward, but nothing I'm really worried about right now, and I don't think you need to be either. Amazing. The time flies by. The Clemson Tigers lose 66-62 to NC State, but have an opportunity to get back to 500 in conference play against Florida State. That's Thursday at 8 p.m. on the road in Tallahassee. And then the Tigers come back and play Virginia Tech next Sunday at 1 o'clock. So we'll talk about that right here on the Clemson Hotline on the John C. Calhoun Radio Network. I'd like to thank everybody for being here with us. Thank you to all our sponsors and to Cross Creek Timber and Cross Creek Realty LLC. Appreciate everybody being here, and we will talk to you next week about your Clemson Tigers. Until then, as always, y'all take care now, and go Tigers!